Hi, this is Carolyn, and this is a botanical jelly printing session showing you all the ways you can catch some successful prints. First of all, you can see here that I'm using a frame. It's just a piece of mixed media paper that I've cut a couple of millimeters smaller than my 8 by 10 jelly plate so that I can lay it on top and then lay my prints on top of that and tape my prints to the frame to have nice clean edges. The first layer is already attached to the frame here, as you'll see up top in a minute. And this is the second layer in red over yellow. I'm using myrtle, or I think it's also called periwinkle. It's just a ground cover with a nice simple leaf that's easy to flatten and has a very tough leaf, so it makes a great stencil. This shows you how you can use your frame over the jelly plate to just get a print with consistently even edges. I've taped the print to the frame itself. I haven't taped the print to the table, which you could also do if you were intent on having your prints in the same spot. In this case, I'm not. I'm just focusing on having those nice clean edges with the frame. So there's the yellow and the red print of myrtle on white. And as I lifted it, I saw that I had some paint left. So before I'm lifting the plant, I'm just quickly picking up another print on a piece of lighter paper, this time copy paper. You could also use tissue paper, but any extra paint left on the plate gives you the opportunity to create another print, maybe for collage on a different paper, and maybe to print a second time. I never really waste any paint on the plate. So lifting them up, you can see that I have a gorgeous ghost. I'm not sure that this ghost would be so effective on the red and yellow print that I'm making, so I'm using another piece of paper that already had a jelly print on it, and I'm putting the ghost on top of that one. So as you can see, I have a lot of papers around me handy to seize any opportunity to make a lovely print. And this one, the ghost from the other print on yellow, does indeed turn out beautifully. So that's fun. There's a surprise I hadn't intended. Look at that. Very nice. All right, so back to my project there with the red, yellow, white, and blue. So I'm going to put on a blue layer and then put the leaves back on. And of course you could use different leaves. You can maybe even not use leaves, maybe even put circles or another kind of stencil pattern onto the plate. But I'm going to put the same myrtle leaves back on in a different position and then lower the whole print and the frame back onto the plate and get a red, white, and blue print. You'll see how that's all pretty easy to do. So once again, I'm really just focusing on having those clean edges around this print. And there it is, and it looks pretty nice. And there's another opportunity to pick up the paint. And then when that's up, there will be a ghost under the plants, and I can use that again as well. So as you see, you can set up a little sequence here where you get a layered print going on as a little project with the frame. Use lighter papers or tissue paper to pick up any extra paint from those, create some collage papers, and then have some ghosts left when you lift the plants that you can print onto other jelly prints, perhaps some papers that you cleaned the plate with that are a little more neutral or that have a softer design and need a little emphasis. That makes botanical jelly plate printing a great way to use up a lot of prints. I just keep a pile off to the side, and when I see an opportunity, I go through my pile and pick up an old print and use it to print a ghost or to pick up some paint. For those of you who are artists, this is a very cool metaphor for the whole art making process. Sometimes we decide we're going to paint a barn or a vase of flowers and it doesn't turn out, and we get disappointed, rip it and throw it in the garbage. But why not keep them around. Why not a year later draw over them or use them for jelly print or work over top of them in another medium or use collage or give them a coat of a glaze. This is a flat print, so here you can see I'm using a Baron to get all the paint off the plate onto the paper. A Baron is a traditional printmaking tool that was used to transfer ink from a block print to the paper. They used to be made of wood, but now they're made of plastic. It has a rounded, slightly convex bottom. That's really handy. As a teacher of people learning to jelly print, I see the inclination to run and wash the plate is strong. People think the plate has to be cleaned. It's immensely counterintuitive, but it doesn't need to be cleaned. So here's the final version of that print, and we got all those other ones out of the process as well. So let's go through the whole thing again in another 4 minutes or so of video, and I'll let you see the whole process here. So I flatten the leaves. I did already ink the plate there, but I could have waited until after I'd flattened the leaves. My climate is very forgiving, so the paint remains wet quite a while. So there's my flattened leaves, and I can put them onto the jelly plate, which is umber mixed with ultramarine. So this time a nice dark color. And then I'll put the frame that I've made out of a simple piece of mixed media paper that overlaps the jelly plate slightly. You can see that I've drawn a guide around the frame opening so that I can place my piece of cardstock that I'm printing on exactly over top. And then in real time, this time, pressing the paper down on top of the leaves, you can see use your fingers to push into the negative spaces between the leaves, and you'll want to feel your way around there. And I always have to remind myself to press around the edges of the frame, otherwise I get these little chips on the side. And then when I'm sure I've pushed the paper right down into all the negative spaces, I will continue to flatten the leaves and press the paper down for the print with a Baron or with a brayer. You'll notice that if you don't do a thorough job of this, you get kind of a white sparkle because the weft of the paper or the texture of the paper will cause these white sparkles if all of it doesn't touch the paint. So that's a nice cover. I had enough paint on there that I could probably still have done another in-between print. But as it is, I guess I felt that it was good enough, and I'm going to pick up the ghost. Probably it would have been better if I'd done one more print in between. Here I'm printing on the paper that I used to clean my plate. So when I put my plates away at the end of a printing session, I roll them with any color, put a piece of copy paper on top, and just leave them to dry until the next time I use them, which could be the next day, a couple of hours later, or even a couple of months later. And then when I take the paper off, the plates are clean. Here you can see the ghost has been transferred onto that cleaning paper to create a rather nice print. And here's another example of that being done from an orange ghost. And here's a more subtle print with yellow over red. And then the one we did before with the blue ghost over the pink cleaning and the layered print. That was the first example. And then here are some more prints of ghosts that are made by the way in the process. So all these were made in a printing session. That's another 4-layer print. And they all turned out quite well. If you like this, subscribe and show me what you do.